Just a week before tying the knot, my girlfriend blew a massive budget snagging the rights to a book, all because her ex-boyfriend wrote it. She wanted to honor their first romance. When reporters hit me up about it, I just gave a slight grin. Going back to your first love and reconnecting like that? Not something that happens every day. I genuinely hope they find their happy ending. That night, when the interview was on air, my girlfriend, who'd been kind of distant for the past 6 months, did something wild and reached out to me. She told me to stop talking rubbish and even threatened to call off our wedding unless I cleared things up with the press. But what she didn't realize was that I wasn't feeling the marriage vibes anymore either. When Mia splurged to secure Jake's rights and poured money into hiring the top PR crew to hype him up, I stumbled upon his book, Asterisk Moments Like versus Asterisk, and gave it a read. It was nothing groundbreaking. That was my only take after finishing it. It's just another typical teen first love story set in school. There are tons of books like this, and many are way better crafted. But just because Jake wrote about his past with Mia didn't mean Mia was cool with overshadowing me to boost his fame. And with less than a week until our wedding, I tried calling her, but her assistant answered. It looked like my calls were being rerouted. Bro Lou, Mia's in a meeting right now. Try calling back in 2 hours. The assistant's tone was icy. After all, Bro Lou's schedule is packed every single day. It felt like she was mocking me, like I, a washed-up actor, had nothing better to do. Over the past 2 years, this assistant, who always stuck by Mia, seemed to notice the growing gap between us. She didn't treat me with the same respect anymore. I smirked. Fine. After hanging up, my manager, Sarah, looked worried. The media has shut down all the exits. Looks like you gotta do an interview, Daniel. What did Bro Lou say? I didn't even get through to her. What can I say? I kept my cool and stood up. Let's go. Say what needs to be said. Sarah was stunned, immediately catching on to what I meant. Wait, but isn't that off? Why wouldn't I use this chance for some free publicity? As a washed-up actor, I had called Mia to ask how to handle the media storm aimed at me. But since she sent her assistant to deal with me, there was no need for either of us to save face. I pushed open the door and stepped out. Reporters swarmed me instantly. Microphones shoved in my face, eyes hungry for gossip. They saw Jake and Mia board a flight to Greece this morning. What are your thoughts? Daniel, your wedding with Mia is next week. Will her trip with another guy mess things up? So, Mia wasn't in a meeting. According to her assistant, she's vacationing with Jake overseas. Mr. He, some netizens are saying that Asterisk Moments Like versus Asterisk is actually about Jake and Mia's relationship. Is that true? Flashes went off everywhere, capturing every flicker of my expression. I smiled professionally and spoke loud and clear for everyone to hear. Yeah, all that's being speculated is true. I believe reuniting with your first love is rare. I wish them all the best. As expected, that interview blew up in the entertainment news. Mia, Jake, and me were trending in real time. Social media went nuts with theories, digging into every detail about the three of us. Jake's fans went after me, calling me a washed-up actor, saying I was riding his coattails and trashing their favorite author. But my fans fired back, labeling Jake a homewrecker and Mia a cheater. Most people just enjoyed the drama. Some laughed at me for being a sucker, while others said I was a gold digger, living off Mia's money and deserved the fallout. But overall, most comments were in my corner, mocking me, but no one really defended Jake for stealing someone's fiancé. After all, Mia and I had been together as long as Jake's been in the scene. His fan base couldn't compete with the general public. The more they talked, the more people insulted him, forcing his fans to stay quiet. Some gossip sites even uncovered that Jake lived in the same neighborhood as us, making the public opinion against him even worse. People started saying the neighbor's lover instead of the lover next door. I was kinda shocked. Jake lived nearby. That explained a lot. I'd woken up late a few times to find Mia missing from bed. When I called her, she said she couldn't sleep and was taking a stroll in the garden. Turns out her walks led her to Jake's place. Realizing this, I took a moment to check in with myself emotionally. Honestly, it was kind of funny, and I didn't care what Mia did anymore. Mia's assistant kept calling and texting me, but I didn't even read them. Just blocked her. It was hilarious. Why didn't she do something sooner? I'd given her a chance, but she didn't take it. That night, Mia, still abroad, must have realized the chaos back home. Finally, she called me, the first time she'd reached out in 6 months. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Less than a week left before our wedding. Everyone knew we'd been together for a decade, but in the end, she ditched me for Santorini with her first love, leaving me in this awkward spot. I answered the call, curious how Mia would explain all this. Instead, she started throwing accusations. Are you out of your mind? What kind of crap were you telling the media? I worked hard to build up Jake's reputation, and now you've ruined everything. Daniel, you better release a statement saying that Jake is a close friend and I brought him to Santorini to help with wedding planning. I laughed. Seriously? Mia's voice was full of impatience. What's real or not? Just go with the statement and handle the PR. Oh, so it wasn't real after all. That story about Jake helping with the wedding? She just wanted an excuse to bring him along. I couldn't go along with that. I refused outright. Mia didn't expect me to say no. She went silent for like half a minute before exploding with anger. What do you mean you can't? You messed things up by talking nonsense, so you better fix it. Remember where our wedding's at? Her voice went quiet. I stayed calm and continued. The invites are already sent out and the location is clear. You hired a local wedding planner and the venue is set at a hotel here in the country. You think the media won't figure that out? Santorini. I remembered when we were still in love. She said we had to have our wedding in Santorini. She wanted everyone to witness our love in that romantic spot. But when we started planning, she was distant. Always busy, saying the company had a big deal and no time for an overseas wedding. A fancy hotel here would just get it over with. We'd been together so long, no need for a big fuss. Yet here she was, taking another guy to the very place we once dreamed of for our wedding. Furious and embarrassed, Mia snapped. I don't care about any of that. Just fix this mess. I don't want any bad press about Jake when we come back. Otherwise, there's no need for us to get married. With that, she hung up. She thought threatening to call off the wedding would get her way. I tossed my phone aside and went back to packing my suitcase. What a joke. Mia, I didn't want to marry you either. Mia and I had been together for 10 solid years. Our relationship was always steady until last year when things started going sideways. I didn't know Jake was Mia's first love back then. It was odd that Mia, always so busy with work, suddenly had time to read novels. She said she was scouting stories to buy rights early before they blew up so she could turn them into movies or TV shows later. So I didn't push further. But half a year ago, Mia suddenly spent millions to buy the rights to a novel under 300,000 words. She teamed up with the website hosting the novel to push the author, Jake, into the spotlight as one of their top writers. There were book signings, PR teams, and all kinds of promos. That's when I felt something was off and decided to read the novel myself. After finishing it, I couldn't help but think, what made this dull, slow-paced coming-of-age story worth millions? So I had someone secretly check out the author. That's when I found out that before Mia and I broke up, Jake was her first love. I even discovered that it was Mia who encouraged Jake to start writing novels. She promised him that no matter what he wrote, she'd promote him and make him famous, so no matter how bad the novel was, as long as Jake wrote it about their teenage love, Mia would buy it all. But why? I was Mia's fiancé, her partner for 10 years. Yet, for a relationship lasting less than 2 years, she spent money on rights and heavily promoted her first love. So, what does that make me? What were the past 10 years of my life worth? I'd been in the entertainment biz for so long, experiencing fame and failure, but never once asked Mia for help. But the fiancé I loved so much was exhausting herself, going all out to make another guy famous. I felt like the biggest joke ever. For the first time in our decade together, I got really mad at Mia. I thought she'd feel guilty, but instead, Mia sneered and said, "Daniel, you're such an ungrateful fool. You think I've never helped you? Sure, you're too proud to ask for help, but everyone in the industry knows you're my boyfriend. Just that alone made people think twice before replacing you. You think you haven't been replaced in this fast-paced entertainment world just by luck? It's me, Mia. My company, United Culture, controls half the resources in this industry. You should be thankful I'm your fiancé, keeping you somewhat relevant. Otherwise, without me, you'd be a washed-up actor, trampled by everyone. Seeing Mia's sneer and condescending tone, I realized I'd never truly understood her. After our fight, Mia didn't care about our wedding date. She started a cold war with me, even blocking my access to industry resources. Back when I was at my peak, I'd signed with Mia's company, United Culture. If she wanted to shut me down, there wasn't much I could do. My work stopped, and I was basically blacklisted. But luckily, during that 6-month freeze, my contract with United Culture expired. Maybe Mia forgot or didn't care. Either way, she never sent a renewal offer. During those long months, I doubted myself, tortured myself, and finally realized, not all relationships flourish, and not everyone's meant to stick around till the end. My contract ending meant it was time to end things with Mia, too. As I was about to leave, Sarah, the person who got me into the industry, came to see me off. We'd climbed the ranks together, and she'd become a well-known manager. She could have started her own company, but out of loyalty, she stayed with the same one, and after Mia cut her resources, she suffered the same suppression as me. In a way, she ruined her career because of me. If there was one person I owed the most, it was Sarah. I transferred all my savings to her, hoping to make it up. But Sarah just patted my shoulder. The path you chose, you gotta own it. The company offered you 2 contract renewals, and you turned both down. She smiled. Maybe the universe is testing you, Daniel. I've decided to start my own agency. The money you gave me, consider it an investment. I hope when you come back, you'll be the pillar of my company. I smiled and agreed. As I was about to pass through security, Sarah suddenly called out to me. By the way, your wedding ring is here. I got it. Throw it away. It wasn't important. The ring had been chosen by Mia's wedding planners. It had no sentimental value. I'd let go of this 10-year relationship, so anything symbolic of it didn't matter anymore. Sarah nodded. Safe travels. I'll be waiting for you to come back. As the plane landed in another country, I snapped my old SIM card in half, keeping only Sarah's contact info. Everything from now on was a fresh start. I enrolled in a renowned drama school in the US. During the 5 years I was signed to Mia's company, United Culture, I went from being a top actor to fading into obscurity. Mia was focused on her company's rapid growth, constantly signing new talent and using me to star in scripts that would help them rise to fame. She didn't care about the script quality as long as they could film and get approved. This led me to star in a bunch of poorly received dramas with low ratings. Some haters even spread rumors online that I had gambling debts, which is why I took on these bad roles. When good scripts or major projects came knocking, wanting to work with me, Mia would step in, telling me to pass the opportunity to newcomers. She'd say, Dan, you're already famous. Taking on this role would just be the cherry on top, but it won't make or break your career. But so-and-so really needs this opportunity. The company is ours, and if they succeed, it's good for you too. By the time my fame had dwindled and I wasn't as popular as before, she turned her back on me. She acted like I owed all my success to her. Without her, I wouldn't have any recognition left in the industry. During the time I was blacklisted, I saw my name frequently appear on lists of the worst actors, made by netizens. I had to admit it. Over the years, my passion for acting had been drained by the subpar scripts Mia handed me. Being with her had not only worn down my career, but also made me forget why I entered the industry in the first place. I didn't want to star in a series of terrible dramas. I wanted to leave a lasting mark on cinema. Leaving Mia also meant abandoning my 10-year career. Starting from scratch, I met a junior student, an overseas Chinese named Jenna. She was a rising star in the directing program. Her father, Sam, was a world-renowned director whose films had won numerous domestic and international awards. Director Sam had retired from filmmaking at 45, shifting his focus to photography. But even though more than a decade had passed since his last award-winning film, Jenna, his only daughter, naturally drew attention the moment she enrolled. I met her by chance. After all, Sam's films are considered a significant part of film history worldwide. It made perfect sense that several of his classics would be used as required material for our drama courses. We started talking after battling over a seat. Since I was older and a foreign student, I usually sat in the back corner of the classroom, but she never sat in the front row either. After a few times of finding her favorite seat taken by me, she had no choice but to sit next to me. Then she got smart and started arriving earlier than I did. When I found my seat taken, I naturally started arriving earlier too. After a few rounds of this, she finally got frustrated and let out a curse in Chinese. Yeah, F asterisk asterisk K. What's your deal? This seat isn't yours. Hearing the familiar language, I perked up and responded, the seat isn't mine, but I got here fair and square. She rolled her eyes and said, fine, whatever. But next time, she arrived even earlier. We got to know each other through this back-and-forth battle over the golden seat. Once we were more familiar, I asked her why. In a class that often discussed her father's films, she never sat up front. Her whole body stiffened at that. She stayed silent for a long time. It wasn't until the class ended, and she looked at Sam's name on the screen that she quietly said, my father may always be a mountain I can never climb. Later, I learned the full story. Sam retired from directing in his prime, passing the baton to his daughter. Jenna grew up under his teachings, but as she officially entered the industry, she realized just how hard it would be to surpass her father's achievements. At 26, she hadn't made any real mark while her father had swept the awards circuit with his debut film at 23. He was hailed as a genius director. Over time, the pressure became unbearable for her, and she even developed symptoms of depression. Seeing Jenna struggle, I couldn't help but relate to my own experiences. I came from a prestigious acting academy and debuted in major productions. By my third year as an actor, I was working with a renowned director. Reaching the peak of my career, I won my first award, and countless offers for roles and endorsements flooded in. I was raking in both fame and fortune, becoming a rising star known for my acting skills. But after I dissolved my studio and signed with Mia's company, I became like a candle, slowly burning away all my passion. Because I had once stood at the top, falling felt even more painful and unfair. What Mia didn't know was that I, too, had been on antidepressants for a long time. During those 6 months when she blacklisted me and gave me the silent treatment, I even self-harmed and attempted suicide. But in the end, I pulled myself out of that dark place. I decided to give up everything from my past and start anew somewhere else. Perhaps Jenna found some inspiration in my story. She decided to take a year off from school, and I didn't stay idle during that year either. I tried various short-term jobs. I worked as a cashier at McDonald's, a waiter in a bar, washed dishes in restaurants, and even did manual labor at construction sites. Ever since I graduated from university, I had been in the entertainment industry. In reality, I lacked any real experience or empathy for the life of ordinary people. Looking back, this was the first year I truly saw the complexities of society. The first year I experienced how a regular person struggles to survive. Over time, I gained new insights into acting. When Jenna returned to school, she came back full of new ideas. She planned to shoot a short film and invited me to be the lead actor. Of course, I agreed without hesitation. Jenna submitted the film to several short film festivals, and it received remarkable results. She finally made a name for herself in the film world, overcoming the immense pressure she had been under. The success of the short film helped ease some of that pressure. It also brought a wave of new inspiration and creativity. Jenna quickly began preparing for her first feature film. She even wrote the script herself, a surreal suspense drama. Once again, Jenna invited me to play the lead role in her film. In this movie, I played a transgender individual with schizophrenia. Undoubtedly, this was a huge challenge for me. We filmed the movie intermittently over 3 years. Both of us were under a lot of pressure, but the film was worth the time and effort we put into it. When it was finally released, it received widespread acclaim both inside and outside the industry. Jenna truly became famous through this film. At 30, she achieved what her father had, a debut film that swept numerous awards. The media hailed her as a late-blooming genius. My name also resurfaced alongside her film, reappearing before the public. That year, I turned 35. Jenna's film was also invited to participate in a domestic film festival. As the male lead in her film, I received an invitation too. After 5 years away from my homeland, I finally decided to return, unlike when I left, unnoticed and forgotten. When Jenna and I landed, we were greeted with a warm welcome from the media and fans. The airport exit was packed to the brim. We were bombarded with countless questions until one reporter suddenly asked, "Mr. He, 5 years ago, you left the country and your wedding was canceled. Now that you're returning with a new film, do you plan to reunite with Miss Liu from United Culture?" Hearing Mia's name, I was momentarily taken aback. After all, 5 years had passed. Except for Sarah, I had completely cut ties with everyone from my past. Sarah had briefly mentioned when I first arrived in the US that Mia was looking for me, but I told her I didn't want to hear anything about Mia anymore, so I had no idea how Mia was doing now. Instinctively, I blurted out, "What? She hasn't married Jake yet?" I thought, given how much she had publicly promoted her first love, she must have been deeply attached to him. But judging by the reporter's tone, she still wasn't married. Perhaps my genuine confusion piqued the reporter's interest. Suddenly, all the questions were aimed at me. Mr. He, are you saying you haven't been in contact with Miss Liu at all? Is it true, as rumors suggest, that your relationship with Miss Liu has completely fallen apart?" I couldn't help but laugh. I thought I made it clear 5 years ago, but if there's still any doubt, let me reiterate. I have no further relationship with Mia. I wish her and her first love all the best. Now, let's end the personal questions here. I hope everyone can focus more on our film. Once we finally escaped the reporters and got into the car Sarah had arranged, Jenna pulled down her mask and smiled at me. "You once told me you were a popular actor back home. I didn't believe you at the time, but now I see I underestimated you." I chuckled. It's not exactly a great reputation. Being remembered for a scandalous love triangle isn't something I'm proud of. I was a bit worried this might affect the film's promotion back home. But to my surprise, Jenna, in her usual carefree manner, said, "What's the big deal? This could even bring some buzz to my film. It's a niche project after all. Although I made it with the intention of winning awards, if more people buy tickets, I'd be all for it." After saying that, she leaned in closer and whispered in my ear, "Let me ask you something. Do you really have no feelings left for your ex-fiancé of 10 years? I had once told Jenna about my past with Mia. At that time, she asked me, "If Mia hadn't wanted to break up with you, what would you have done?" Looking back now, her question feels almost prophetic. It turns out, Mia didn't end up with Jake after all. I understood what Jenna was really asking. She wanted to know if there was any chance that Mia and I could get back together. I thought about it and told her, "I just find it all very annoying. I had assumed that after I left, Mia and Jake would live happily ever after. But surprisingly, she remained single all these years. I had a feeling that during my time back in the country, Mia might cause trouble for me." Sure enough, my instincts were right. Since I had signed with Sarah's new agency, the next day when I went to the company to see Sarah, I ran into Mia. 5 years had passed. Mia had gained quite a bit of weight. She wasn't young anymore. As soon as she put on weight, all traces of her youthful charm vanished, and her age seemed to catch up with her all at once. She looked like she could be 40, and I'd have believed it. When we saw each other, we were both stunned. Mia was the first to react, excitedly calling my name, but very quickly, for some reason, her face changed and she hurried away. I found the whole encounter a bit baffling. When I reached Sarah's office, I could still see a trace of lingering anger on her face. I had a hunch it was related to Mia. So I asked Sarah. As soon as she heard that I had run into Mia, she couldn't hold back and started cursing. I've never seen someone so shameless in my life. From her words, I pieced together Mia's life over the past 5 years. After I left, Mia searched for me for 2 days, but when she heard from Sarah that I had gone abroad, she suddenly became furious and told Sarah to pass on a message. If I kept up this act, she would replace me with Jake at the wedding in 2 days, saying I'd regret it. By that time, I had already told Sarah not to tell me anything about Mia anymore. Sarah knew how determined I was, so she didn't pass on Mia's message. Did she go through with it? Did she really replace me at the wedding? I asked. Sarah let out a mocking laugh. Replace you? Could she even pull that off? In the end, the wedding didn't happen. When reporters asked her about it, she said you two had planned to hold the wedding in Santorini and that the trip she took with Jake was to scout the location. She barely managed to cover it up, but who believed that crap? Mia's company, United Culture, faced backlash because of the whole ordeal. Her efforts to promote Jake were also undermined by my comments, giving the public something to laugh at. A youth novel with a small target audience was suddenly dug up by the gossip-hungry masses. Besides Jake's hardcore fans, most people who read asterisk moments like versus asterisk shared my opinion. It was a mediocre, uninspired youth romance. Most people couldn't understand how it had been hyped up so much. It even ended up being voted as the most overrated youth literature on several platforms. As they say, to wear the crown, you gotta bear its weight. Mia had built such an enormous platform for Jake, but his talent couldn't live up to the public's expectations. The novel was torn apart by critics. As more people read it, they noticed that many of Jake's sentences were eerily similar to those in a lesser-known web novel. So, before Jake could clear his name from the cheating scandal, he was hit with plagiarism accusations. Plagiarism in online literature is always hard to define. The original author found out about the plagiarism and, armed with evidence, filed a lawsuit against Jake. The case dragged on for years without resolution. The main reason was that asterisk moments like versus asterisk had no real literary value to begin with. The fame and accolades Jake had received were largely manufactured. The original author demanded compensation, but Jake refused. He believed the work he plagiarized wasn't worth much and that if it weren't for Mia, even if he had plagiarized, the novel wouldn't have gained so much attention. This twisted logic led to years of entanglement between him and the original author. With the case frequently trending on social media, netizens demanded that Mia and Jake apologize to the original author for the plagiarism scandal. Yet, in a move no one could understand, Mia chose to ignore the backlash and instead assembled a high-profile team, boldly announcing plans to adapt asterisk moments like versus asterisk into a film. This move caused an even bigger uproar online. Mia probably wanted to take the infamous route. She stubbornly pushed through the criticism and finished filming within 6 months, rushing to release it as fast as possible. As expected, the movie, hastily put together, lacked any sincerity. Even though Mia cast the most handsome young male leads and the prettiest rising actresses from her company to tell this youthful story, the audience still criticized it, accusing her of feeding them garbage. Are you serious? Not only do I have to watch the ugly kids of capitalists, but they're also forcing me to witness her cringeworthy first love. Whoever watches this plagiarized junk is a total idiot. Comments like these were everywhere. This went completely against Mia's expectation that the more fiercely the audience criticized, the more people would watch. In the end, this high school romance film, which reportedly had a 200 million yuan investment, made less than 10 million at the box office. She lost everything. In the past, such a loss wouldn't have mattered much. But Mia had signed a performance contract with her investors. The dismal failure of asterisk moments like versus asterisk meant she couldn't meet her contract's performance targets. Shares in United Media were divided up. As the CEO and majority shareholder, Mia was completely ousted by the investors. All right, so what does that have to do with her coming to find you? Sarah rolled her eyes. Isn't it because your movie became famous? Mia went around claiming you were still one of United's artists. Only after she accepted several endorsement deals for you did she realize your contract had long expired. When she found out, she immediately announced that you had already signed with my Hechuang Media. That's when Mia came to fight with me. Sarah rubbed her temples, but Mia couldn't produce any evidence proving you were still under her company. So, although the argument blew up, public opinion sided with me. That's when I learned about this series of events. Sarah warned me. Anyway, things haven't been easy for her in recent years, so she'll probably come looking for you. Stay alert. Sarah's prediction turned out to be spot on. As I left the company building, Mia hadn't left but was waiting at the entrance. The security guards had tried several times to make her leave, but she wouldn't budge. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. Dan, I need to talk to you. I raised my hand to stop the guards. She stood up straight, adjusting her disheveled clothes. It's been a while. Can we talk? In a quiet tea house, Mia personally poured tea and set it in front of me. Even though she had asked to talk, we sat in silence for a long time. I glanced at the tea in front of me. If you've got something to say, just say it. Mia gave me a bitter look. I'm sorry. That was all she said. After all this time, this apology was a stark contrast to her arrogance 5 years ago. Seeing that I wasn't moved, Mia's face turned red, then slowly went pale. Her voice weakened. I didn't get together with Jake. It was all a misunderstanding. I never meant to break up with you. A mocking smile tugged at the corner of my lips. As I smiled, her voice grew fainter. A tear fell, and Mia quickly wiped it away. Is there really no chance for us anymore? I looked at her now fuller figure, missing the confidence she once had. I stayed silent. Mia seemed to realize her appearance wasn't what it used to be. Her strong sense of pride shattered as she covered her face. I can't help it. I have to entertain. Drinking one round after another, staying up late, the stress. It's impossible to keep my figure the same. I cried. Jake only used me to boost his fame with my connections and platform. When I gained weight, he started to resent me. But he never considered that without me, he was just a worthless, spoiled bum. So, after you left, you did get together with Jake, but you two didn't make it in the end. Hearing my words, Mia stiffened. Now you're asking me if we can still be together? Are you really that clueless? I stood up. The only reason I even sat down with you for this half hour is out of respect for the 10 years we spent together. But if this is all you wanted to say, it's a complete waste of time. Mia was stunned. Then what do you want to hear from me? Obviously, I want to talk about the shares I still have in United Media. Mia's face fell. Seeing her expression, I couldn't help but laugh. Did you really think I'd come here to rekindle our old romance? This is the only thing we have left to discuss. Even though our artist contract is over, I still have my shares. Back when I was at the peak of my career, Mia signed me with a promise that I'd receive 20% of United Media's shares, and we signed a supplementary agreement. Of course, once I signed, she acted like she'd forgotten all about it. For years, I never received any dividends. At the time, I didn't want to argue over money, so I stayed quiet. But now, it's time to get what's rightfully mine. Looking at her now, it was clear she intended to weasel out of this. So, I told Mia to prepare to compensate me for all the unpaid dividends, or I would sue. I had heard from Sarah that United Media hadn't been doing well in recent years, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. Less than half an hour after I left the tea room, I received a call from Sarah. Mia's mother had contacted her, saying she wanted to have a word with me, even bringing out her mother, someone who always disliked me and thought I was freeloading off her daughter. I was curious to see what this woman, who had looked down on me for years, had to say now. So I dialed the number Sarah gave me using a virtual phone number. To my surprise, the first thing Mia's mother said was, I agree to you and Mia getting married. You won't need to pay any bride price. And let's not talk about the shares. You'll be family, so no need for two families to discuss business. I was speechless. When I didn't respond, she grew impatient. What? You still want the shares? Let me tell you, Daniel. Back in the day, many men lined up to marry my daughter. But she wasted her youth waiting for you. You're lucky she's not asking you for compensation for that. You're successful now, but you don't want to be caught in a scandal about abandoning her, do you? Even after all these years, Mia's mother hadn't changed a bit. I hung up the phone immediately. Then, I asked Sarah to help me file a lawsuit against Mia. I sued her for the unpaid dividends stipulated in our contract, which amounted to over 50 million yen. With this lawsuit, all the old drama between Mia and me resurfaced. Mia was furious. She released a doctored audio recording of our conversation in the tea room, distorting the facts and accusing me of abandoning her. She portrayed herself as a heartbroken woman who had waited for her boyfriend for 5 years. But the internet doesn't forget. Before I even had a chance to respond, sharp-eyed netizens dug up old news about her orchestrating a publicity stunt with Jake. showing off their trip to Santorini. Even photos of them staying in the same luxury hotel suite surfaced. Mia's plan backfired completely. After that, Mia posted our contract with United Media, claiming I had broken it by signing with another company. She threatened to sue me for breach of contract. The amount she claimed in damages just so happened to be the same as the unpaid dividends. Over 50 million win. Sarah countered with a trove of chat logs and recordings. It became clear that my contract had expired, and she had repeatedly tried to negotiate a renewal with United's higher-ups, only to be brushed off. This put United Media's management under fire in the trending searches. The real reason they didn't renew my contract back then was that they were watching Mia's reaction. Now that Mia's gamble had failed and she was no longer in control, the internal team had no interest in covering for her anymore. So, an insider came forward to explain. They revealed that the delay in renewing my contract was due to a massive argument I had with Mia over Jake, which had embarrassed her. She had decided to teach me a lesson by purposely holding back my contract. With this revelation, Mia's previous manipulative behavior was torn apart by angry netizens. Even Jake, who had long since parted ways with Mia, was dragged into the mess. After leaving Mia, Jake had ridden the wave of popularity she created for him, profiting handsomely from the website she built for him as a top author. Although he was plagued by plagiarism scandals, he still managed to rake in significant royalties, but his writing skills were mediocre at best. After splitting from Mia, his subsequent books barely made any impact. So, once again, Jake couldn't resist plagiarizing someone else's work. This time, though, he messed with the wrong person. He copied an early work by a well-known author. That author collected the evidence and sued Jake, winning the case. Jake's reputation was utterly destroyed. The website canceled his contract and demanded he return his royalties. Now Jake was drowning in debt, completely overwhelmed. Dragged down by Mia, he snapped and went on a rant on social media. Not only did he admit to the rumors about him and Mia's pre-wedding fling in Santorini, but he also cursed Mia. Daniel gave up everything for her, but she's just a shameless woman. The moment she saw me, her first love, she threw herself at me. I didn't even want to deal with her, but she insisted that she'd made it and could take me to the top. Come on, we're all men here, you tell me. Who would refuse when something like that is handed to you on a silver platter? I just made the same mistake any man would. Mia is the real villain. Jake's meltdown only made the situation messier. Meanwhile, I hadn't said a word publicly, but my legal team had been working behind the scenes. Soon, the court ruled that Mia had to pay me over 50 million yuan in dividends and interest. After the court ruled against Mia, she tried to contact me several times. She wanted to reminisce and use old feelings to smooth things over. But I refused to see her. Who would believe that a former girlfriend who hadn't tried to contact me in 5 years still had any genuine feelings? She simply saw my comeback and wanted to get me back under her control for her own gain. I'm not sure what Mia had been up to all these years. To pay the 50 million yuan, she had to sell her house and some of her shares. Once the money was in my account, I immediately sold my shares in United Media to Mia's major shareholder. By the time she found out, it was too late. She had completely lost her absolute control over United Media. In the end, United Media was renamed Fading Media and merged under the major shareholders' conglomerate. Mia had spent over a decade building her empire, only to end up as a mere employee for someone else. Jake didn't fare any better. His shameful public rant attracted the attention of bored internet users, and some even dug up personal details about his current girlfriend. Harassing her endlessly, the woman he had just started planning to marry broke up with him after all the harassment. 5 years ago, he ruined my chance to get married right before the wedding. 5 years later, he lost his own fiancée. After that, I stopped paying attention to either of them. Jenna stayed in the country for a while before deciding to return to the US for further studies. On the day I saw her off, Jenna said to me, "Next time, can you be my leading man again?" I nodded. "Of course." Jenna smiled mischievously. "I mean, be the leading man in my life." I froze. But by then, she had already turned and walked through the security gate without looking back. It was as if those words had been a figment of my imagination. "Of course. It wasn't until I was nearly 40 that I finally gained the approval of Jenna's parents. But that's a story for another time.